Gene Sarazen was first, then Ben Hogan, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. In the black and white world of the 1930s, Sarazen, wearing the +4 knickers of the time, completed the modern Grand Slam by winning a new tournament called the Masters. The taciturn hawk, Ben Hogan, wrapped up his slam in his only British Open appearance in the chill of Carnoustie in 1953. The Scots called him the Wee Iceman. The third to turn the trick was little Gary Player of South Africa as he won the U.S. Open in 1965. Jack Nicklaus did the Grand Slam 3 times, completing the trio here at St. Andrews to cap golf's greatest career. And now the new millennium starts with a new kind of golfer trying to join the historic quartet. He makes his bid for his first here at St. Andrews, just as Jack did for his third. In 1997, Tiger Woods at age 21 left his elders far in his wake, winning by a record 12 shots in the hallowed Masters at Augusta. The PGA Championship last year was no cakewalk. Challenged by a golfer even younger than he edged out Spain's Sergio Garcia by a single shot, emotionally drained at the end. And just last month, on the storied fairways of Pebble Beach, he left writers searching for new adjectives, winning the United States Open by 15 shots. Not even the great Nicklaus ever dominated so completely. Now, 6,000 miles from Pebble, one trophy remains. Here at the old links where Mary, Queen of Scots, played long centuries ago, the child prodigy grown into a mature man faces the old lady, as St. Andrews is called, hoping that she will be kind, that she'll let him avoid the devilish bunkers and the capricious bounces, and will let him walk the Swilcan Bridge to victory in the British Open.
ABC Sports and the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews welcome you to final round coverage of the 129th British Open presented by MasterCard.
The clear blue skies of yesterday have given way to an uncertain mix of clouds and bright intervals at St. Andrews. Breeze has become a wind, not a real stem winder like can happen here on the old course, but more of an up and down, unpredictable sort of thing. The crowd, some of whom were shirtless yesterday, are zipped into their anoraks this afternoon at just after 2 Scottish summertime. It's as capricious as only the British Open can get. So for the story, here's my ABC colleague, Mike Tirico.
Thank you, Jim McKay, and we're so glad to have you with us on Championship Sunday at the Open Championship. Tiger Woods arriving and working his way over to the practice facility to warm up for his tee time, which is in 37 minutes, 2:40 local time. Here are the last 5 groups. Steve Flesch, the American, Ernie Els, the runner-up in the first 2 majors. They have just teed off of number 1. Tom Lehman and Dennis Paulson. Lehman, the past champ in the Open Championship. Paulson, his best major ever. These players tied for 7th. Lauren Roberts and David Toms are in a 3-way tie for 4th. Roberts has had 2 top 10s in majors already this year. Darren Clark has had Sunday experience towards the end of the field in the Open. Think back to Troon in '97, and Thomas Bjorn, the Dane, played in the 3rd round final group with Tiger Woods and had a tough time. We'll see how he does. Tied for 2nd with the world number 2, David Duval. It's Woods and Duval in the final group. They tee off at 2:40 local time or 9:40 Eastern. The other groups are already out on the golf course, and some early moves have been made by a couple of big-name players. Davis Love, 6 under for the day. He's at 8 under for the championship. Vijay Singh at 5 under for the day, also at 8 under. Azinger just gave 1 back. Paul shot 30 on the front, including a great string of birdies from 1 through 7, except for the 2nd hole. Other than those players, Monty's at 3 under, but there have not been many scores under par. About 3 or 4 hours ago, there was more wind, there was more cloudiness, and it was a little tougher to get the ball near the hole. But as you look back at the field that's been out there, or some players who are done, you see not a lot of tremendous moves. The Spaniards are in line. Olazabal, Garcia, and Jimenez, who had a very good U.S. Open. Jesper Parnevik has battled through a bad hip this week. Mark O'Mara, champion in '98, survivor of the playoff with Brian Watts. 3 Aussies, O'Hearn, Allenby, and Parsons. Leonard, the past champion. Jim Furyk finished with a round of 72 today. Tom Watson made the cut, 5-time Open champion. Lee Westwood, disappointing 75 today, disappointing week. One of the world's top 5, and that's how the field stands from beginning to end at the 129th British Open. In a matter of the next 4.5 hours, someone will make that magical walk, perhaps golf's greatest, across the Swilcan Bridge, where so many past champions have come before to wait for the roaring throngs packed around the 18th in the R&A Clubhouse. Jack Nicklaus in the playoff, beating Doug Sanders in 1970 and throwing the putter into the air with joy. And Jack made that magical walk again 8 years later to kiss the claret jug. One of the great reactions in the history of the sport. 84 Seve, champion at St. Andrews. 1990, it was Nick Faldo. Who will it be in 2000? Will it be Tiger? Will we see history at the British Open?
Airfare for 2, bought online, $1,900. 1 motorbike, 2 helmets, 9,300 yuan. Map of Gailin, 47 yuan. Crossing number 6 off your life's to-do list? Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard, accepted wherever your travels may take you.
Why is it that no matter where you are in the world, there is always a place for people to come together? When you think about it, it's simple. Humans are a social bunch. We need each other. That's why we are doing what we can to make it easier for the human race to stay united.
You look for an edge, the slightest advantage. A grip adjustment, a special grind, extra tape under one hand, anything. Yet there's a ball that could really give you something over the next guy, and you haven't even tried it. And they say golf is a thinking man's game.
You see what Duval did yesterday? Yeah. He shouldn't have laid up on that short par 5. He should have used the 3, wouldn't gone for it. What was he thinking?
See what Teltex did yesterday?
Yeah.
They should have offered $68 a share for that Italian multinational. They should have acquired something with less long-term debt, better distribution in Pacific Rim.
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we created a smarter kind of investor.
Dumb.
How fast is the internet? How fast do you want to go? Lucent is building the networks that make the internet move at light speeds.
Who's that? Red Falcon.
Red Falcon? ¿Quién es Red Falcon? Because it takes an extraordinary internet to help you conquer the world. Lucent Technologies. Expect great things.
Indy 500 winner Juan Montoya faces some of kart's best at the Michigan 500, including Roberto Moreno and Michael Andretti. Next on ABC. The 129th British Open presented by MasterCard on ABC Sports. Brought to you by MasterCard, the official card of the British and Senior British Open. Lincoln, American luxury. Lucent Technologies, expect great things. And Ernst & Young, from thought to finish.
Another pleasant day in the town of St. Andrews here in Scotland, the 129th Open Championship. The final round underway. The leaders tee off in about a half hour. Well, you've already heard from our host, Jim McKay. This is Mike Tirico with Curtis Strange. And we are joined by the 91 British Open champion, Ian Baker Finch, U.S. and British amateur champ Steve Melnick. They'll be calling the action at the holes. 1959 PGA champion Bob Rosberg. Judy Rankin, member of the World Golf Hall of Fame and one of the top 100 teachers in the land, Gary Smith. Our 3 on-course reporters. Carl Ravitch has joined us all week for interviews. He'll be talking to the champion. And Frank Hannigan, former senior executive director of the USGA. Here if we have any rules questions to sort out. We'll also be joined by our colleague Peter Alice a little bit later on. In all, over 150 British Opens, either broadcast or played by our group. who will describe the action on this championship Sunday. Well, the fans are sending the leaderboard message on the practice tee. Woods and Duval a half hour from getting there. But let's go over and find the fourth to last group teeing off. Tom Lehman and Dennis Paulson. Lehman at 8 under par as he tees off on number 1.
It's our first chance to see how firm these fairways have been all week long. Watch how much this iron will roll. Actually, it hit a little bit of a soft spot, but
Dennis Paulson.
The wind in the exact same direction it has been all week long. Slightly down on the first hole.
Dennis Paulson, the winner at the beginning of June at the Buick Classic in Westchester, went with a conservative shirt yesterday. He was holding out the good stuff for the final round. Paulson, former U.S. national long drive champion in the mid-'80s, has refined his game, become a more complete player.
To stand on the first tee the last round of the British Open under the R&A Clubhouse is some stage. It is. Look at it in the background. It's a feeling like no other place in the world.
That is the home of golf, the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St. Andrews. Up on the green at 1, Ernie Els for birdie. Our 18-hole leader, after shooting 66, 2 under the last 36 holes. Would it be possible Els could be the runner-up in a 3rd straight major? 13.
Paul Azinger for birdie out in 30. Yes. Azinger with problems at 12, now gets it back to 9 under, and it is a spectacular setting here this morning. We were out early at a meeting, and as we're walking across the 1st and 18th fairways this morning, we were commenting on how cold and windy it was, and one of the stewards happened to be there, and he says, "Ah, yes, an honest day." To the second.
Ernie Els on the tee at the second, the par 4, 413 yards. A bunker must be avoided from the tee there. It's called Cheap's bunker. To 16.
Well, Davis Love fired a 74 in the first round, a 74 in the third round, 66 in the second, and he's working on another 66 today.
That's about the way Davis has been playing of late. Playing some brilliant golf, but inconsistent.
He will string together some absolutely brilliant holes, Curtis, and then seemingly make some wayward shots, and the result bogey or worse. Out in 33. It has been a flawless round thus far for Davis. 3 birdies on the front and 3 coming home on the back. And 16 has been one of those holes that has given players fits this week. Only the famous road hole has yielded less birdies. This is a shot from nearly 200 yards, wind blowing from the left. Easy. You play the bounce at the old course.
And you'll become familiar with those dips and flips and turns that make this course so unique and so special. David Duval, 6 strokes behind Tiger Woods. Tiger and David teeing off in about 25 minutes. 2:40 local time. Of course, Tiger's swing coach, who's had so much success with his game and improving it, is Butch Harmon. Judy Rankins on the practice range with Butch.
Butch, you went to the practice tee last night. I saw Steve Williams leave the golf course just before 9 o'clock, and his face was very tired, but happy.
Yeah, it was a long day out there. As you know, Judy, this course is as much mentally taxing as it is physically, and Tiger wanted to hit some balls last night just to wind down a little and relax, and really didn't need to work on anything, just to kind of get his emotions back in check.
Is it the same thing this morning? And this is not a mechanical warm-up. This is trying to find some rhythm and just kind of to make yourself ready for the day?
Yeah, for me, it's been a really easy week. He's been in such good form, and his swing has been so good. We did a little work early in the week, and all I have to do now is keep saying nice shot.
A lot of players would like to be 1 or 2 shots back going into a big final round, but this is a player that relishes the lead and has no fear.
I agree with that, but I think you're going to see Tiger play very conservative today. He doesn't need to take any chances. In reality, he's played pretty conservative all week. This is the kind of golf course that there's some holes out there that you can make birdies on, and you just hope that you take advantage of those. And then there's other holes you don't even shoot at the flags, and I think you're going to see him shoot a good conservative round today. You know, if he shoots 70, 71, someone's going to have to shoot 64 or 5, and that's not likely.
You have been a most positive influence on him now since he's a teenager, and this is not only a very big day for him, but you have to feel a lot of excitement yourself.
I'm nervous as heck. Yeah, it's been wonderful to watch Tiger go from a teenager to a young man to a man, and not only in golf but in his personal life. And it's been fun to have had a little something to do with it. But I'm more nervous than he is, I think.
Thanks a lot, Butch.
My pleasure. Thanks.
I'm a little nervous too as we head back out to the second. Ernie Els. Second shot here, hole location just on the front, 15 paces on. Difficult hole location to get it close. Must be long if you're going to err anyway. And that's pretty much what you expect in the second. It's like the first hole, you have to be up. Let's go back to the first.
And the second for Tom Lehman.
Flagstick only 10 over the burn, but actually it hasn't been that close to the burn all week long.
Do you think it would be closer today?
Absolutely. I thought it'd be 4 or 5. It has been, the closest been to the burn all week long is 8. I've seen it 4 or 5 many times.
Well, Lehman safely beyond the flagstick. That's what most do on this opening hole. Woods and Duval tee off in 23 minutes at St. Andrews.
Hello, I'm Ruth Ann Marshall, President of MasterCard International's North American region. Welcome to ABC's telecast of the 2000 British Open Championship from the birthplace of golf, the St. Andrews Golf Links. On behalf of MasterCard's member institutions and our nearly 18 million merchant locations worldwide, MasterCard is pleased to present to golf fans ABC's telecast of this most historic golf championship. Please sit back and enjoy the many priceless moments the world's greatest golfers will deliver in pursuit of the storied claret jug.
LS, Motor Trend Car of the Year.
If you need to move faster, we can help. Because success is even sweeter when you're the first one to taste it. Ernst & Young, from thought to finish.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Sting.
Big fans of Dune.
We're here to show you how to drive traffic to sting.compact.com by tapping into the equity of your Stingness.
How? Quality merchandise. Like the brand new day alarm clock.
It's my head. If you want to send somebody a message in the bottle, this is what you need. How romantic is that? It's a Sting Jell-O mold. What do you think of that? The brand new day toaster emblazons your face right on anything you stick in here. Toast, bagels, doesn't matter.
The next time you happen to be standing on the tee of a 450-yard par 4, ask yourself this: are you excited or are you afraid? That's why we make the Slazenger Raw Distance. A ball that's longer than every Titleist, longer than every Top Flight. When you demand the most out of every shot, this is as good as it gets.
The game requires precision. Once you master that,
it's all about power. Southern Company. We generate more power than any other company in America. PGA Tour players are as passionate about making their shots as we are about making energy. Yes, energy. Southern Company. We generate more electricity than any other company in America.
All-Stars Kick It on ABC Sports. Carlos Valderrama leads the East against Kobe Jones in the West. The Major League Soccer All-Star Game live Saturday.
Welcome back to the second green. Ernie Els putting for a birdie. He started out with a birdie at the first. Can he make it 2 in a row? Ernie finished second in the first 2 majors of the season. Lost by 3 to Vijay Singh at the Masters and by 15 to Tiger at Pebble Beach. Ahead to 14. And Paul Azinger, third shot.
This is not a very easy shot. He has to really throw it up in the air. Flag stick very close to the front.
That really was a wonderful shot. If you could only see how steep that bank is to 15.
And the long par 4, Vijay Singh has a long birdie putt. Vijay 73 yesterday, 1 over par. Heard any chances of winning a second major this year. But the reigning Masters champ has played very well today, 5 under, and that was a well-judged putt at the 15th. Well, golf from this side of the Atlantic continues next weekend on ABC Sports. It's the MasterCard Senior British Opens, a beautiful Northern Ireland Royal County Down Golf Club. Gary Player leads the field, including some familiar names from the PGA Senior Tour. It's coming up on ABC Sports next weekend. Well, there is Tiger with instructor Butch Harmon as they move to the practice putting green, getting closer to the tee time for Woods and Duval. And 18 holes from history, as we said before. And the record crowds are just shoehorning their way into every nook and cranny of this Scottish town. There is a different feeling. You've been to so many more big golf events than I have, and big sporting events in general. It's a different feel here today. It's hard to describe, but it's wonderful, tingling for everyone involved. You were involved in 1989 when you won your second U.S. Open of trying to set some sort of history. People built it up. It hadn't been done in the half century. Could somebody win back-to-back U.S. Opens? We're talking Tiger with even bigger history today. Does it matter? Does it impact what he does when he steps on the first tee?
I don't think so at all. He's used to this situation. He's done this before, winning 3 U.S. junior amateurs, winning 3 U.S. amateurs, the Masters by 12, things like that. But he is so focused and he's so mentally tough that he might think about it coming up 18, but I don't think, honestly, he'll think about it till after it's done.
We talk about 6-shot leads. Can people come back from? And last year in the British Open, we saw Paul Lawrie start 10 off the pace. We saw Greg Norman at the Masters in 1996 have the 6-shot lead. Nick Faldo there coming back to win. But you have Tiger Woods. It's a different animal who's at the top of the leaderboard.
Absolutely. There's some problems on the golf course, but I think he's special, more special than anybody else. He's tougher, stronger, thinks it better. You don't win these tournaments by as many strokes as he's doing, but these are some of the things that make St. Andrews different and tough. Tiger putted from some 55 yards short of the 6th green on Saturday. And believe it, that wasn't a bad effort at all.
And these are some of the things that we're going to see today, playing well or not playing well, some of the nuances of this golf course.
Yes, and the pot bunkers, as was said all week long, a penalty stroke. Here we have Steve Flesh yesterday in the 13th fairway. You can't advance it at all. It's like a penalty stroke if you drive it in them. Now let's look at the 17th hole, and this is a very dangerous par 4, maybe the toughest par 4 in the world. You have out of bounds on the right, you have deep rough on the left, you have a blind tee shot, but this is the second shot, the toughest second shot in golf. You have the road hole bunker, which is famous. You can't even get out if you put in there. And then you have the road to the right. Let's take a look at what happened yesterday. Sergio Garcia put it so close to the face, couldn't even think about going out, had to put it back to the middle of the bunker, and had to take his medicine. Very tough to take.
Let's go back out to the 14th.
Oh, Azinger ran his first putt past for birdie, missed his second one. That's a bogey 6 from just short of the green in 2. Boys really squandering a wonderful round. He was out in 30. There's a beautiful view of the 17th hole there, the road hole, one of the most famous holes in golf. And just over there is the practice fairway. And earlier, Steve Melnick had a chance to catch up with David Duval.
David, early in the week, you were not 100%. Based on a scale, say, of 1 to 10, where are you now?
5 or 6 maybe. You know, yesterday was the best I felt. Really struggled the first few days of the tournament and all earlier in the week practicing. And, you know, today I don't really know because I'm just getting started to get loosened up. But, you know, hopefully I can at least have the opportunity to go play today without any pain.
What is it that you can or can't do because of the problems you're having with your back?
Well, you know, I to be perfectly honest, I haven't really tested it because I don't really want to find out what I can't do. You know, I'm kind of pleased with what I can and just try to swing easy. I know that I definitely can't go at balls hard, and so I'm tending to hit the more club when I need to, as opposed to trying to hit a less club harder, and that's basically it.
How significant was it to you personally to shoot 66 yesterday? You get yourself in the final group today to play with Tiger.
Well, it was important simply because I, you know, wanted to be there, wanted to be a part of that experience, and you know, I didn't know where I was going to start the day, if it was going to be 2 behind or 4, or as it turns out 6, and so now I'm in a position where I'm tied in second place, 6 shots back, with the realization that we're playing the final round of the Open Championship with me in a position of probably needing to shoot somewhere around 63 or 64 to have a legitimate chance.
Well, Curtis, first obvious question, is there a 63 or 64 out there looking at the weather right now?
Well, I think the best thing for David Duval right now is to see some low scores out there. Davis Love, Vijay Singh, Paul Azinger. The wind is laying down. It was blowing this morning. I was out earlier. The flag sticks are not in the toughest positions. I have seen them at St. Andrews. There is a chance. It's not a big one, but there is a chance.
We'll watch that and see if Tiger does back up at all during the day, something he's been able to do mistake-free. Paul Lawrie last year came from 10 back, waited an hour and 43 minutes for the last putt to drop on the 72nd hole, but has the greatest comeback in the history of the majors. So David Duval would not make history by erasing a 6-shot deficit, but it would be an all-time story to tell. Number 1 and number 2 in the world will tee off in less than 13 minutes in the same group. We saw that a decade ago at St. Andrews. It was the 3rd round when Nick Faldo and Greg Norman, 2 and 1 in the world respectively, went head-to-head in the final group in the 3rd round. For Greg Norman, it was a day of being in the hunt, being in contention after shooting 66-66, but nothing went well on the 3rd round Saturday in 1990. He shot 76. For Nick Faldo, everything went well. The driving was in the fairway. The irons were precise, and when they weren't close to the hole, the putter was hot. Faldo shot 67, Norman 76. On that day at St. Andrews, number 2 in the world, top number 1 in the world. Norman went on to win the title by 5 in 1990. What will happen is 1 and 2 meet in 2000. The story gets told in the next 12 minutes.
You know, all these birds remind me of that movie.
Reminds me of e-business. Millions all hitting a site at once. So you need a server tough enough to handle the heaviest transaction volume. That's the Unisys eAction ES7000 with 32 Intel Pentium 3 Xeon processors.
So, do you like movies?
When it comes to e-business solutions, at Unisys, we eat, sleep, and drink this stuff.
Business trip, $400 million. Calls to the office, $230,000. Rental car, $45 million. Finding time to squeeze in a little golf? Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Accepted just about everywhere golf is played.
Jim Larimore came to Millionaire on a mission.
What are you going to do with this money? How are you going to spend it?
My wife and I, we never got to take a honeymoon after we got married.
I got to ask you.
Final answer.
Just won $250,000.
Next stop, Hawaii.
It's going to be a 2-week honeymoon at least.
Whose dreams will come true next? An all-new Millionaire tonight, 9/8 Central on ABC.
43 high-performance engines, 774 quarts of oil, 1,032 burning tires, 5,160 gallons of fuel. All wreaking havoc on one filter. Wix Filters. Bring it on. Captures 45% more dirt and lasts 30% longer than the leading national brand. Wix Filters for NASCAR and your car.
At 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club, our goal is to help you enjoy and improve your golf game. Practice is extremely important, and there's no better place to practice than right here at 12 Stones Crossing.
We in the golf shop guarantee prompt and professional service, as well as the latest in golf equipment and apparel.
As club manager, it's my responsibility to ensure that you enjoy your round of golf. Some things I just can't control.
12 Stones Crossing. You're gonna love it.
A 260 horsepower CL Type S from Acura.
Storm Tracker 2000 only on News 2.
Back at the first tee, the penultimate game, second to last group on the golf course. Darren Clarke of Northern Ireland and Thomas Bjorn of Denmark. Bjorn 3 rounds in the 60s, 69, 69, 68.
Big, tall fellow, good swinger of the golf club. Always in the top 10 to 15 on the European Order of Merit. Good, solid player.
He's been there for the last 4 years. He's off with Darren Clarke. We saw Butch Harmon, Tiger Woods' instructor. He also instructs Darren Clarke. 17.
Davis Love is having a pretty good round so far today. This is his second shot at the road hole. Davis started the day 2 under par. Comes to the 17th, 8 under. And that was a really good shot. Long is the best way to play this hole today. Do not be short. Adjacent to the 17th is the second hole. And this is Dennis Poulsen for birdie. Poulsen also started with a birdie 3. Can he make it 2? And the 37-year-old from Vista, California. We call him the Chief. He can tomahawk a wedge better than anybody else out there. To 3.
Steve Flesch, the left-hander. Been a very solid Open Championship for him. So 3 pars for Mr. Flesch starting out. He remains at 8 under. Now up ahead at the short 6th, it's only 412 yards. The flagstick today just on the crown of the green. There's a low sort of valley in front, and most players from here have taken a putter, and that's exactly what he's done. These fairways are incredibly quick. They're so firm and so tight. Back home it would be like putting in the fringe at worst, or at best it may be as fast as a lot of greens that you all may play at home.
Steve, they're the fastest, hardest fairways I have ever seen in my life.
I asked Gales this morning on the practice that he had he ever seen fairways like this before, and he said no, these are the tightest fairways he's ever seen.
They're great to play off of if you're striking the ball solidly. Look at this.
You know, the hardest job we have is to try to enhance pictures which are foreign to most. Now back at 3, Else for birdie. And twice a runner-up at the Open, and the Masters suddenly moves to 10 under. Yes, he's 6 back, but he certainly has the talent to close the gap. Back at 1.
And in the fairway, Thomas Bjorn, Darren Clarke. Bjorn second on the way.
Beautiful shot. That's the closest we've seen just about all week long. We haven't seen a ball short of the flagstick at all.
The couple that were just about hole high yesterday came on back into the Swilkenburn.
Yeah, anything we've seen short has been in the water.
The Claret Jug awaits. Will it be the final jewel in the career Grand Slam for Tiger Woods, trying to become the youngest player to win all 4 majors? He and David Duval tee off next at St. Andrews.
Just like Mom used to make, huh?
What?
Never mind.
Strawberry? Don't mind if I do.
He's out, and it's all over for England.
Typical. Home, Dixon. Righto, sir.
An epiphany is a sudden awakening to the essential nature or meaning of things. The day you realize that babies aren't delivered by storks, that was an epiphany. The day you recognize that men and women are not the same, that was an epiphany. The day you realize that your website is your business and your software can't handle the traffic, that is an epiphany. It's a different kind of world. You need a different kind of software.
They call it the Blue Monster. This course is hard enough under perfect conditions. If my muscles are sore, forget it. So before I tee off, my doctor told me to take Advil.
Doctors recommend Advil for muscle pain. They like the way Advil works, right at the site of pain, stopping it where it starts.
For my sore muscles, nothing's better. It also works great on headaches.
Advanced medicine for pain.
Next revolutionary metal. Callaway Golf has found it. It's called steel. Because now, with our variable face thickness technology, we can deliver performance that makes these our best stainless steel irons ever. The new Steelhead X14 irons, only from Callaway Golf. We're taking steel farther.
Property damage, workers' comp, perishable stock coverage. The Hartford can tailor your insurance to be as unique as your small business. The Hartford, bring it on.
The hole-in-one. ABC Sports takes you to Northern Ireland for the MasterCard Senior British Open Saturday.
It is the oldest and most prestigious golf championship in the world. It is the championship that golfers most want to win. It is the British Open. Its high, wispy rough and windswept fairways have been the setting for some of golf's most magical performances. As the Open enters a new millennium, the championship returns to golf's birthplace, where history will again be made, and perhaps a legend born. It is the British Open.
Picture postcard setting, the town of St. Andrews, the North Sea in the distance, the fans who have found their way into lucky seats that I'm sure they will not be giving up anytime soon. Watch all the players finish in the championship. Watch the last group about to tee off. Well, the odds on Tiger Woods have been the best ever odds throughout the week, but can't match today. No bets were being taken at Ladbrokes, betting legal in the UK. No bets taken on Tiger Woods today. Longtime British Open observers can't remember seeing that. Tiger started at 15-8 during the week. Yesterday he was down to 2-11. That's in Secretariat's neighborhood. In 73 at the Belmont, Secretariat was 1-10. But no more bets on Tiger Woods today as he chases history, trying to complete the modern career Grand Slam and join Sarazen, Hogan, Player, and Nicklaus. Final group of the Open Championship. First tee, Ivor Robeson, the starter.
Very well, gentlemen, all the best. Let's go, David. Ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final game of the 129th Open Golf Championship. On the tee, David Duval. On the tee, Tiger Woods. The man!
That twirl at the end of the swing, picked up from friend Mark O'Mara, usually tells you Tiger likes it. And he does. They've been in the same group once before. Earlier this year at the Byron Nelson, Duval shot 70, Woods shot 63 from the 7th to last group and finished 4th. What will happen today at the British Open?
Golf socks, $14. Golf shoes, $105. Designer golf slacks, $80. Entertaining your clients, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard, sponsor of the PGA Tour and accepted for golf outings most everywhere.
Can't trademark heritage or patent a mystique. You can't reserve the rights to authenticity. These qualities are earned with hard work, preserved with innovation, demonstrated in competition, and embodied in every Titleist golf ball.
This town will not put up with the vulgar body movements of Elvis Presley.
I saw him gyrate his body and wiggle his hips. He should not be on television.
Sellout here. It is electric inside the stadium. It doesn't get any better than this.
Call 1-800-568-3030 for some great golfing videos. The British Open is celebrated in a fascinating new video that tells the story of the championship during the 20th century. Combining archive footage with dramatic moments relived in exclusive interviews with many of the greatest golfers to ever pick up a club, including Palmer, Nicklaus, Watson, Faldo, and Ballesteros. Also available for the first time, the Magnificent Eight, St. Andrews, the story of the most prestigious golfing venue in the world and the players whose triumphs at the home of the R&A are written in golfing folklore. And now you can relive this year's British Open in the official film of the event for a trio of top videos. Order any two and get the third one free. Only $19.95 each, plus shipping and handling, $4.95 for one, $9.95 for the full collection. Call 1-800-568-3030 for some great golfing videos.
Swoken Burn that guards the first green at St. Andrews. David Duval has already played. Back live for Tiger's second.
A sand wedge from 115.
Pretty tough shot. A little follow and win. Hard green. Well, it's supposed to be tough. You heard Butch talk about conservative play today, and I think that's part of St. Andrews. You have to play smart around this golf course. There you see Tiger with his Sunday red on.
Show you what David Duval did for his second shot from a similar distance.
So much depends on the lie. If you get a little bit of a lie that's too tight or scratchy, you have to do that. You have to play smart beyond the hole. Fairways are so tight.
Dozen birdies today at the first. Let's go ahead to Steve Melnick at the third.
Dennis Paulson now at 10 under, this for another birdie. This is only his second British Open, played last year at Carnoustie, and says that he really likes playing over here. This is so foreign to what he's used to. 2-4.
Long par 4. Let's see if Ernie Els can make another birdie. Already 2 under today.
Seeing a lot of birdies early, but remember, these guys have nothing to lose. They have to go full bore at it. They know they have to shoot an extremely low score to have any chance at all.
Birdies at 1, 3, and 4 in the world number 3. Couple of groups detached, trying to put up a number to make Tiger think a little bit. As Woods marks at the first.
You know, there's so many little battles that are going on in his head today. Somebody might get close, but he has to stick with his game plan. Just play. He has to remember that if he does shoot 60 or 70 or 71, somebody has to really go low. Can't panic if somebody gets within 2 or 3. Play your game. That's why it's so tough sometimes to play with a big lead. Start playing differently than you normally would play.
Fabulous shot from down in that burn. You see the water's low. It's only 3 yards across that burn, but a 3-yard hazard that swoops across that first green and then eventually empties into the North Sea. Has seen plenty of golf balls drop in there over time or spin back in. Duval and Woods, if you remember last year when David was number 1 after the Players Championship, Tiger wrestled that spot away and has held it ever since. They became friends and started a relationship in part because they spent some time together. Other than being at the same events, since they weren't in the same group until earlier this year, when they came over to prepare for the British Open, there was a group of players, including the late Payne Stewart, Mark O'Mara. David and Tiger were together in Ireland. And I remember David Duval telling me last year, before the showdown at Sherwood, the Duval-Woods primetime match, about just a neat scene. Tiger and David, 1 and 2 in the world, in a field in Ireland, in jeans, hitting balls. No cameras, no reporters, and they were playing golf horse. Can you hit one of these shots? Can you hit one of these? They have similar problems because of their newfound stature in the sport and have something in common. Thus, they've become friendly competitors in the last year. Duval for birdie.
But it doesn't mean they want to beat each other's brains out. And they should. And that is a good start. Good putt right there. But they have so much in common. They grew up with the game. They've practiced. They all had dreams of becoming the best in the world. And the personalities might be different, but you grow up and you realize when you get to know somebody that you do have so much in common.
Only they understand what that small group is going through. And all of you guys who've been at the top of the world in your profession out there understand how the commonality develops. So he'll finish for his par. '17th green very close by. The cheers you hear. An opening birdie for Duval. As you join us for our live coverage this morning, A reminder that later this afternoon at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, we will have a 1-hour recap of the events on this final Sunday at the 129th Open Championship. Our coverage presented by MasterCard. So 5 to 6 Eastern time, a 1-hour recap of what transpired today at St. Andrews. If you know somebody who can't be by the TV for some reason this morning, let them know they can relive the moments again this afternoon.
Always felt like the first shot of the day was the most important shot of the day because it got you off either in a negative or positive frame of mind. You hit a good solid tee shot. Now you're off and running. First hole is so very important, and the first putt. You make the first putt and you feel like you got a feel and rhythm for the day, feel for the greens. And inside your head, you feel like you can make it.
So Woods had a much more legitimate birdie run, but both he and Duval will make a par 4 here at the opening hole. Duval stays 6 back. You've already seen Ernie Els move a shot closer. Then Duval already sits. Els is 11 under par and 5 back. And they are off to the second hole.
And let's take a look at it. Blind tee shot. The area right there keeps you from seeing the fairway out to the right. The one place you do not want to be is the bunker on the left. It's 264 yards to it. Most of the players are laying up with a long iron or maybe going just to the right of it. There it's 47 yards wide, and that bunker is called Chiefs. Every bunker out here has a name, or worse sometimes. But this green runs away from the players from front to back. Difficult to keep it around the hole. A lot of bumps and bruises and mounds to the right half of this green. Big slope in the back center. And today's hole location just over the front of the green.
Now Duval with a long iron to make sure he lays up short of that Chiefs bunker. Still removing the tee carefully from the ground.
You know, these tees are so tough. Some of the players are talking about how hard it is to get a tee in the ground.
Especially the 9th tee. To 18.
Davis Love finishing this for par. Oh. It will be a round of 67. Davis had a great final round going. They'll finish at 7 under par, probably out of the top 10. Let's go back. Where else? The last group, that too.
Stop.
Absolutely perfect. Good safe shot. Butch Harmon, Tiger's coach, just told us all week that he's going to play this golf course conservatively, make sure he keeps it out of the deep little pot bunkers, and that's exactly what he's done. Good, safe, solid start. But we'll return with more third round coverage of the 129th British Open presented by MasterCard after this message and a word from our ABC stations. You're watching the 129th British Open on ABC Sports.
Speed Pass from Mobil. Now you can refuel inside the store too. It's another way Mobil keeps you ahead.
You do your job, people notice. Southern Company, rated #1 by America's top energy buyers. How big is your game. Southern Company. Our game's energy, and we generate more electricity than any other company in America.
Camp is where it all begins. Talent emerges, respect grows, raw rookies and wise veterans become teammates bonded, and championship dreams are born. ABC Sports presents the AFC NFC Hall of Fame game, San Francisco versus New England, Monday night, July 31st at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
The 2000 Honda Clearance. It only happens once a year, and it's over before you know it. Can we say perfect timing? The 2000 Honda Clearance. Seize the moment.
Why do these tour pros play Srixon golf balls? Because Srixon has more U.S. golf ball patents than anyone. Because their technology's won 73 PGA Tour titles since 1989, including 7 majors. Because they put over 60 years of experience in every ball they make. They've seen what the world's best ball technology does for their game. What will Srixon do for yours?
You'll have to play Srixon to find out, won't you?
Srixon. Play a better ball.
Celebrate toughness with Ford F-150. Now with cash back or low financing. The Ford Authorized Clearance. America's bestseller just got better with up to $1,500 cash back or 3.9% financing. The Ford Authorized Clearance. See your local Ford dealer today. I just want to celebrate. Yeah. Get an F-150 now with up to $1,500 cash back or 3.9% financing.
Wrap up your weekend with Wisdom Martin only on News 2.
The 129th British Open presented by MasterCard on ABC Sports. Brought to you by Speed Pass, today's way to pay. It's free from mobile. Morgan Stanley Team Winner. We measure success one investor at a time. Southern Company, America's largest generator of electricity. And United Airlines, now offering more legroom with our newly completed Economy Plus section.
We're back at the second fairway and Tiger Woods' second shot.
181 yards. He took a long time to choose a 9-iron. Studied what's up there at the green, although he cannot see the putting surface.
Needs to land it just short and bounce it on up if he's going with the 9-iron from that distance. Absolutely fantastic shot. One of those holes where everyone's happy with par. There's been 8 bogeys and 9 birdies here so far.
Good bit closer for David from 159.
Ah, this is unbelievable. Two of the best 5 shots all day at the second. Punch and counter punch. That's exactly what Duval has to do. This is a big day for him. He was so happy to get paired with him in the final group. He said, I want to be out with him. I want to look him in the eye. I want to show him that I've got some game. And that's what he's doing. We'll head forward to the 5th now. And this is Ernie Els' second shot at the par 5. The average drive on this par 5 for the whole field has been over 300 yards so far this week. The bigger hitters hitting at 375, 380. And that was a well thought out shot. Landed it short on the downslope, ran it through the big barranca in front, and he has about 60 feet for an eagle 3. Don't want to miss the green left there, so it was a good wise shot. Els is 5 back. If he can knock that one in, he might put a little bit of fear into the eyes of Tiger Woods. A couple at 11 under, 3 of them at 10. Lots of players hoping for the chance to catch the Tiger.
This Wide World of Sports update brought to you by Speed Pass, today's way to pay. It's free from mobile. Here now, Mike Tirico.
Major championship golf for the ladies. Kari Webb leads by 4, only 2 players under par. Today, Webb is going for her 3rd major in 12 months, winning Du Maurier last year and the Nabisco Championship, Dinah Shore, earlier this year. The seniors, Tom Jenkins, Gil Morgan, Bob Murphy, tied there. Arnold Palmer in his 1,000th event at 3 over par. Brad Faxon, who failed as he came over here trying to qualify for the British Open, has gone back and as defending champ is tied with Esteban Toledo heading into the final round in upstate New York at the BC Open. The golf story this weekend, in addition to here, and we go back to Ian at the second.
Thanks, Mike. Both players hit fantastic shots in here, Curtis.
Well, you know, we just talked about how, or Butch talked about how Tiger was going to play some conservative golf, and we didn't see that on the first 2 holes. You know, played right up aggressively against the burn and hit it in there 6 or 7 feet on the first hole, and now it might not have looked like a chancy shot here, but just short of this green, there's a huge bottom, huge swale that can kick your ball anywhere. So 2 great shots.
They're certainly different to the way we've seen him playing the first 3 rounds. People have said because of his length he looks like he's aggressive all the time, but he's not. He's playing very sensibly. I wouldn't mind betting that was about a 5-iron off the second tee.
But one other thing that enables them to play so aggressively this week is the lack of wind we have had every day. You certainly would expect, you know, 20, 25 miles an hour at least 1, maybe 2 days here at the Open Championship, but this week has been ideal.
And consistent from direction point of view as well. So they're playing the same course every day. Another makeable chance for a birdie. Just a little settler, these ones are early in the round. Relax the nerve endings. Ahead 1 to the 3rd.
Thomas Bjorn 1 under through 2 and just lets that get away. Asked by the press if he thought he could win, he said no. It's a 2.
At least he was honest.
Yeah.
Tiger taps in for a par. I was in this position in 1990 playing with Nick Faldo, who was on top of his game. I was in the last group, and it was very difficult to not push myself to try and make birdies at every hole. And I think Duval and a lot of these other players that are out trying to catch Tiger have to be careful that they don't force the issue too much. Duval also to get to 11 under. Really just a tap in. Very good start by the world's number 2. It's just exactly what he needed. He has to keep inching closer to 3.
Moments ago, Darren Clark, who birdied the first, this for birdie to move into a tie for second. The man who was second to Justin Leonard 3 years ago. So early birdies sending a message that there are some to be had out here.
4 players now within 5 shots of the lead. Tiger Woods holds it 1, 2, and 3 in the world. Woods, Duval, and Else at the top of that leaderboard. As we've just passed 3 o'clock local time, it's 7 a.m. on the West Coast if you're just waking up. Tiger and Duval in the last group teed off about 20 minutes ago. Both parred the first. Duval the birdie at the second. As you see the rest of the field, many Americans have done very well. The PGA Tour players have had the better of the overall scoreboard as that you look at the top of it. We're going to turn the microphone over to a man who's been a part of the British Open as a broadcaster and player for 50 British Opens. Now, our colleague Peter Allis. Good afternoon,
Thank you, Michael.
sir.
Thank you, and it's very nice to be with you on this special day. This is the 5th, Ernie Els. Big putt for a 3 on this par 5. He's getting closer and closer.
Peter, is this the nicest weather you've ever seen for an entire week at the British Open?
No, we have very good weather, but poor climate, but good weather. Or is it the other way around? 3rd hole, Duval on the tee. Had the honour on the first. He hasn't lost it yet. The heat haze is shimmering away there. It was chilly early this morning, though, but now it's beautiful. .397 yards. Duval still moving fairly gingerly when he bends down. He's not sort of zooming around too much, but seems to be swinging very freely and safely. Tiger next. Just the right half of the fairway would be a good spot for this one. Well, apart from his opening tee shot, which I thought sounded a little heavy, he struck everything right out the middle of the bat, and that looks to be okay. Not quite so much chatter as yesterday, but this is a serious day, you know, and I'm expecting great things, and I hope you're going to stay with us and enjoy it with us.
At age 24, the same age as Tiger Woods is now, young Tom Morris had already won 4 British Opens. While away from home playing a money match, he got word that his wife was critically ill. Before he could get back to St. Andrews, she was dead. Young Tom, bereft, died in his sleep 3 months later on Christmas Day of 1875. The inscription on his memorial here reads, "He thrice in succession won the champion belt and held it without rivalry, and yet without envy, his many amiable qualities being no less acknowledged than his golfing achievements."
At Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, our global expertise has always been one of our greatest assets and greatest sources of pride. Of course, whatever we achieve throughout the world, we can never forget who we're achieving it for. At Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, we measure success one investor at a time.
The world is changing. You can now chat online with someone 3 continents away. You can start a .com from your bedroom. You can buy just about anything right from your computer. With the progress we're making, you may never have to be in the presence of another human being for as long as you live. The world is changing. That's why we're doing what we can to help the human race stay united.
Alex, why so blue?
Everything up here is so colorless. We need color.
They need it more down there. See? Keep it in color, you make the point. Gets results. That's why there's Xerox Color on the desktop.
It's also in the hall.
You can even get it at 40 pages a minute.
Guess they really do need it. But couldn't I just wear this?
Maybe on casual Fridays.
Keep the conversation going. Share the knowledge. The Digital Document Company, Xerox.
Small business software, $400. Letterhead, $610. Office supplies, $90. Remembering who you work for, priceless. MasterCard Business Bonuses lets you earn miles good on any airline, no blackouts. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard Business Card.
Indy 500 winner Juan Montoya faces some of Cart's best at the Michigan 500, including Roberto Moreno and Michael Andretti. Next on ABC.
Ernie Els at the 5th, the par 5, on in 2. Here in 3, now this for a birdie. Ooh, tried to get out. So, for once, the challengers are getting out of the traps fairly quickly. They failed to do that the previous 3 days. To the 3rd now, and Woods, the man who's played the best of the golf.
It measures a long way, 156 yards, but the hole is 40 paces deep in this green. That was just a pitching wedge. Wind from the right.
Well, he got some spin on that one, Judy. Unfortunately, it moved it a foot or 2 away from the hole, but safely on.
Shot was played from a little low area where I suppose a little water stood, and there was some nice thick green grass.
Juicy grass. Now David Duval.
.119 to the hole for David Duval. Sand wedge from the center of the fairway. He gets a little benefit of wind at his back. From Tiger's angle, he played more right into a crosswind from the right.
He could get this one close. He's coming in from a nice angle and another cracking shot. Tiger is coming in over that shoulder. The bunker is coming up to the green on the right-hand side there. So he had the more difficult second shot in. Now Mickelson at the 6th hole, putting it from goodness knows how far away. Up and over. He's given it a bit too much.
It's from about 50 yards out from the first start of the green. We've seen 2 or 3 players from that cross area there. Players do not get a drop from the crosswalk this week.
Mickelson, 4 fours and then a birdie. So many of these players this week have played intermittently well. A good round and a poorish round and so on, sort of 269s, 274s, that sort of thing. They've lacked that consistency to keep any pressure really on Woods, who's played so well. Now Lehman from out of the big gully in front of the 5th, 3rd shot. You do well to get this close. It's one you could leave short, leave it on the bank. The fairway's cut pretty tight, so he may well be putting this. Yes, he is. Needs to aim it left. There's a hogs back there. You could probably get it left or right. Oh, Tom, I don't think you saw that one correctly. Wow, there's a strange air around the course today. So many people here. Of course, they understand what winning the 4 majors are all about, but they're so keen for him to be challenged by someone. There's Bjorn, who's been striking the ball very well. The 4th hole, his 2nd shot. Shaved the hole a couple of times.
It's from 150 yards, Peter. Straight down the breeze.
Now back to Tiger Woods. On the 3rd. For a birdie. So 3 steady pars for Woods. He's 4 ahead of the field now, 4 ahead of Els. Duval has a chance, though, to get a birdie and move to within 4. I'm not trying to tickle your palate, but, you know, strange things have happened in this game. And who remembers Olympic with Arnold Palmer? Was he 7 shots ahead with 9 holes to play? Greatest figure in golf at that time against Casper, and then a playoff, Fleck and Hogan. Fleck had no chance. Hogan won. Maybe grasping at straws just to keep a bit of excitement going. But whatever happens, I think the style of Woods' play has been absolutely wonderful. But he's still got 15 more holes left. If this fella can pop this in, it will do him no harm at all.
There is a game on right now.
Have at thee, Sir Percy, as they used to say in days gone by. Too bad. PGA Tour events, wins. Look at all that. Quite extraordinary how he had that rush of victories in a short time.
And, you know, he really has been overshadowed. You have to remember he's been number 2 in the world since he lost his number 1 ranking. He's been overshadowed by Tiger Woods, and so people think he hasn't played very well, but he has had 14 top 10s since his last win, the 99 Atlanta Classic, and, you know, that's pretty good playing. He hasn't won, but he's played consistently well. As you see Tiger and David head to the 4th, let's take a look at it. Big, strong par 4, 464 yards, but once again, because the fairways are so firm, the hole playing much, much shorter than that. Players will go to the left over these mounds. Everything to the right, where you see the white shaded area, that's where the players will drive, and beyond to the right, you do have the 2 bunkers that could come into play. After a good solid tee shot, these players will hit 6 or 7 irons into a green that is guarded a little different right in front by a huge mound. Makes the run-up shots much tougher. And the green slopes from left to right quite a bit. Today's hole location all the way in the back left. Very difficult to get it close to and 2. The smart, prudent play would be out to the right just a little bit. But when you have to make up shots, you have to do some very aggressive things. But David Duval said in his interview before that he wouldn't change his strategy too much because of St. Andrews, and the greens make it very difficult to get it close to the hole consistently. So he'll try to play his normal game and hopefully make some putts.
Little weight here, of course. This is quite a narrow fairway if you go up in the proper direction, so they fire away to the left. And if someone's coming down, it's courtesy to wait.
And that's true with most of the holes here at Peter. The farther left you go, that's the wide open area, the double fairways, the parallel fairways. But the angle is really the best angle if you go up the right side. But that's the dangerous angle because of gorse bushes, some heather, and a lot of little pot bunkers.
Duval.
You know, you stand on most of these tees and you really don't have anything in the world to aim at. You have to pick out something, maybe the end of a grandstand, maybe a steeple in the great distance.
Thomas Bjorn for a par up ahead. No. You don't want 8 10-footers for par early on in the piece. Now Tiger.
Is that a 3-wood?
It looked like it could. Yeah, it didn't look like the big-headed driver. That's a good spot. As long as he doesn't find an awkward little lie on the fairway. Duval's run through and could be on the upslope.
There you see Greg Rita, David Duval's caddy. We talked a lot about Steve Williams yesterday, Tiger's caddy, but Greg Rita's no
second banana when it comes to caddies.
Now, Styles, look at the word. I mean, he's been to he won with John Daly here at St. Andrews. He won with me at 2 U.S. Opens. He's been around and very experienced.
You mean he won with you and he wasn't able to retire? I find that almost impossible to believe. We will return with more final round coverage of the 129th British Open presented by MasterCard. After this message and word from our ABC stations, you're watching the 129th British Open on ABC Sports.
Contenders, 3 continents, 1 winner. Lincoln LS. Motor Trend Car of the Year.
You see what Duval did yesterday? Yeah. He shouldn't have laid up on that short par 5. He should have used the 3-wood and gone for it. What was he thinking?
See what Teltex did yesterday? Yeah. They should have offered $68 a share for that Italian multinational. They should should have acquired something less long-term debt, better distribution in Pacific Rim.
When we created a smarter kind of investment firm, we created a smarter kind of investor.
Dumb.
A hopeful singer, a famous star, a dream come true.
This is the next double platinum artist.
Until she learned the truth.
I'm your mother.
Diana Ross.
I made a mistake.
Brandy.
So if you could you take the decision back?
Double Platinum, ABC Monday at 8, 7 Central.
Celebrate style in a newly redesigned Taurus with 0.9% financing plus $1,000 cash back. The Ford authorized clearance. Ford Taurus comes with 5 stars for safety and 0.9 financing plus $1,000 cash back. Hurry to the Ford authorized clearance going on now at your local Ford dealer. Get 0.9 financing plus $1,000 cash back on Ford Taurus now.
At 12 Stones Crossing Golf Club, our goal is to help you enjoy and improve your golf game. Practice is extremely important, and there's no better place to practice than right here at 12 Stones Crossing.
As golf course superintendent, I'll see to it that the course is manicured to perfection, just for you.
Whether it's a quick snack at the turn or a full course meal, you'll enjoy your experience at Joshua's, our club restaurant.
12 Stones Crossing, you're gonna love it.
Davis Nolan and Storm Tracker 2000 weekends only on News 2.
Tiger's second shot at the fourth.
.162, a pitching wedge, needs to take it just right of the flagstick for safety.
Shot.
Well, a beautiful shot, well directed. Perhaps a little bit unfortunate just to kill it on that little groove, little slope. But a very good strike. Now Duval.
I think he actually caught a very fortunate spot on the hillside. Where he is on the hill is not too steep. It's just 149 yards. He has a good look at the flagstick. Good place to start it out to the right and just let it fall left with the wind.
Good shot.
Well, not bad. But really from there, perhaps we only give him 4 out of 10 if we're giving Tiger 7 out of 10 for his shot in. Bjorn's challenge seems to be fading.
Peter, he missed a little putt at 3 for a birdie, about 5 feet, and then 3 putt at 4, then drove it in this bunker here on a hole that 80% of the people are going to birdie.
Ernie Els at the 7th.
This is the 7th hole that crosses with the 11th hole to par 3, and Ernie hitting a 3-wood just to keep it once again short of a lot of little pot bunkers that are in the distance. Actually, the players could probably drive this green if it wasn't for the big bunker guard in the front right.
Yeah, it's been done, you know. You can sneak in around the left-hand side. You use part of the 11th green and then swing it the last sort of 40, 50 yards across the green. But everything's got to be in your favor. David Toms, 3rd shot at the 5th. That's almost where Tom Lehman was, and he has been rather fortunate in getting his ball to stop on the bank. That could have come all the way back. Back to the Tiger.
Interesting part of the scoring. When this day started, Tiger Woods had made 18 birdies this week. David Duval had made 16 birdies this week. So the difference between them really was more about a couple extra mistakes on David's part. But now they've both made 18 birdies this week.
Yeah, Tiger's great strength has been between the 8th and the 13th. He's really scored all his birdies in that area, or most of them. The first 6 or 7 holes and the last 6 have not given up many birdies for Tiger so far. He's had that wonderful run which takes in the loop here, where if you don't get something going there, you struggle. If you're not a few under par by the time you get to the 14th tee, you're in trouble. There we are, Mrs. Plod. We call policeman Plod here. Mr. Plod. Mr. and Mrs. Plod. Rather childish, I know, but charming, don't you think?
Yeah, it's really swinging right the whole way off this.
A bonny lassie.
Like down the slope here.
878. Must remember that. I might buy those in the lottery this week.
This is not the easiest of putts. David came up well short.
Well, he's got to go off the top of the hill into the hollow and then up the other side, Curtis. That's it. And he goes up again and then down again. And because if he gets it running a bit too fast when he gets into the last 5 or 6 feet, it's very easy to go 6 or 7 feet by. Although the greens aren't frighteningly quick, are they?
No, they are slower by, I guess, our standards at home, but that's links greens too.
Well, you've got to be wary if you do get a spell of windy weather, the ball can blow about on the greens and then you can't play at all. So you've got to leave something there. Duval, a long putt for a birdie, but be happy enough with a par.
Down, now back up, now breaking to the right.
Good putt.
Look out.
Go on, right, go on.
Oh, boy, what a putt. Boy, that was a lovely touch there. And if that had gone in, well, ifs and whys and buts.
Horseshoes and hand grenades, Peter.
Absolutely right. Mickelson at the 7th for a birdie. Boom. That's 2 under, 9 under for the championship. Now Tiger, now he'll have seen that ball. And again, you see it's line and pace. So important here. He's just got to get it right, going over the top of the hill. And the ball really has to die into the hole. I don't think, unless you're remarkably fortunate, you can hole a putt like this going at any speed. I think the ball has to travel no more than 12 or 14 inches past the hole to have a sort of 2 or 3-way chance of dropping into the hole. Quickly to the 7th.
That was from 74 yards with the flagstick tucked over a little knob, and he's judged it beautifully.
Back to Tiger for a birdie. He's done it. What a moment to hold a putt. He's had the ability to do that this week and many other weeks since he hit the professional scene. It's given to very few people, but over the centuries that games have been played, there have probably been about 20 that have managed it, and their names will live on and on.
They're the largest creatures on Earth. They've adapted and evolved with strength and determination. The kind of strength that helps the Pacific Life family of companies manage more than $300 billion for its clients. And determination that has guided Pacific Life for 130 years. Size, strength, longevity, offering annuities, insurance and investments. Use the power of Pacific Life.
I registered my vision.
I registered my cause.
I registered my family.
Visit register.com or call 1-800-5WWW-NET to register today.
Because the average golf course is 6,500 yards and the average golfer plays more like 8,500 yards, straighter is better. Titleize 2 from Adams Golf, designed to help you hit consistently straighter shots.
Golf clubs make a lot of promises. Titleize 2 makes it guaranteed. Straighter shots are your money back. Only with Titleized 2 fairway woods and the new Titleized 2 driver, straighter is better.
A pitching wedge?
Nah, with a win like this, I'm going with a 9-iron. Bob, what do you think?
I think if we could use our systems integration expertise to show wind speed and direction on the course, we'd make it more interesting for the viewers.
What viewers?
Unisys provides wind stats and scoring for golf telecasts worldwide, proving it's not just e-business solutions we eat, sleep, and drink. There's also golf.
Hey, Bob, it's just us out here?
Airfare for two, bought online. $1,900. One motorbike, 2 helmets, 9,300 yuan. Map of Gailin, 47 yuan. Crossing number 6 off your life's to-do list? Priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard. Accepted wherever your travels may take you.
All-Stars Kick It on ABC Sports. Carlos Valderrama leads the East against Kobe Jones in the West. The Major League Soccer All-Star Game live Saturday.
Welcome back to the 5th tee. And after that spectacular birdie at the 4th, Tiger Woods with the honour. There's a little green stone. It's actually a brown stone covered in green matting, but that's 300 yards from the tee. There it is in top of view.
That's
and the average, it is. This is running up near the 400-yard mark.
Well, they say Craig Wood, I think it was, drove into the green side, but you know, the other side, this was 1933 or something or other, so when there was a slight breeze behind. So number 7.
Ernie Els.
Ernie has this for birdie. Great start for Els, looking for yet another one. For early birdies for Ernie, moving him with Duval at 12 under, back to 5.
And David Duval's tee shot. Going left a bit.
Peter, his misses with that bad back have been left. He can't support the swing through it, and he's missed a lot of shots left, which he does not typically do.
But here it's not too punishing, Steve. There's at least a bit of room there for him.
We've heard the comments of Steve Melnick, Ian Baker Finch, and Peter Allis. We'll be describing the action for the next little bit, and Curtis Strange will rejoin us shortly. Tiger Woods, 1 under par for the day. His lead is 5 over Duval and Els. And while we have a moment, let's rejoin our host for our British Open coverage again on ABC Sports, the great Jim McKay.
Thanks very much, Mike. You know, seeing St. Andrews as docile as it's been this week, I've been thinking back to ABC's first St. Andrews Open. It was 1964, and the wind blew. How it blew. On one round, I saw Jack Nicklaus, who was carrying a good deal more weight then than he does now, nearly blown over, really, by a wind that gusted more than 50 miles an hour. Tony Lima was the winner. He'd never been out of the United States until Arnold Palmer, who did not play that year, told him that he could never be a world golfer until he played at St. Andrews. Arnie even lent his caddy, Tip Anderson, to Lima for the occasion. Tony was appalled at the weather when he arrived. He said to me, "Jim, we have an island in San Francisco Bay that would be better for a vacation than this place. It's called Alcatraz." But he changed. He fell in love with Scotland, and the Scots reciprocated. As for his caddy, he said, "I could never have won without Tip. I just did what he told me to." We'll never really know what Lima would have accomplished in his career. He and his wife died in an airplane crash 2 years later.
The story of Champagne Tony, as he earned that name after buying small bottles of champagne for the members in the press room after his championship here in '64. I wonder if there'll be champagne served in the press room today, whether it's Woods or Duval or else after their championship. Let's go back to Ian, who has the call at the 5th.
Now, Thomas Bjorn's had all sorts of troubles here. This is for a par 5. Coming from the correct side of the hole anyway. You can see there it was just a little uphill at the end. Now to the first par 3. Ernie Els at the 8th.
155 yards into the breeze.
And a very good safe shot for Els. The whole location today just over that deep bunker in the front. very hard to get close. Ernie made his par at the 7th. And we head back to the 5th. Duval will be first away, just coming from the left rough, and the whole location today, Peter, right in that very front corner of the green.
Yeah, you've got to have a lot of good fortune if you get it close. To get it within 10 feet, something's got to happen that you have no control over. He's coming in from the left-hand side, across the sort of shoulder of the green, and, well, if he gets it on the green within 40 feet, he'll have done well.
Ball wandered around and came to rest in a very nice lie, sitting perfectly. It's just slightly below his feet. He can see the flagstick. 209 yards. He has a 5-iron.
Cannot miss left. He has to be long and right.
Hit it well up in the air and right at the flagstick.
That's a superb shot. Slung it out to the right, high. And he's got it. I think that's as good as you could do, unless you got an absolute fluke.
I agree. Absolutely perfect. Couldn't possibly have tried to do anything different to that. The rough on the left side so thick to 7 now.
And let's catch up with Tom Lehman, his second shot. Both Lehman and Dennis Paulson 2 under today. Both 10 under for the championship and tied for 4th. And both staying away from the trouble of being short with their second here at the 7th. Good to see Tom back in form. A couple of birdies went earlier this year in Phoenix after a long dry spell of PGA Tour victories.
This is the camera alongside the 5th green, and you get some idea of the big humps and the bumps and almost canals that cross this. Someone suggested to speed up play here in the future, we might put a couple of tunnels underneath the course so spectators could just walk under the. I don't think with the water table so high that would be a very good idea this year. Could make it a bit like Venice, and we could get handsome young men rowing you underneath.
We've seen the good scoring from some of the players who got out early, like Davis Love. Paul Azinger finished with 4 consecutive pars, shot 67. And Azinger finishes 8 under for the championship. He is currently tied for 11th. Fred Couples with a couple of early birdies. You see most of the players who got started have themselves under par for the day. Vijay Singh gave a shot back on the way in, shot 68. The Masters champ finishing at 7 under. Good to see Nota Begay bounce back after some struggles in the 2nd and early 3rd round. Colin Montgomery shot 70, so his quest for a top 10, let alone a victory, at the British Open. We'll have to wait again. It's just been a couple of top 10s for Monty in his British Open career, and yet to win that elusive major. Garcia, nothing going today. 1 over. Let's go back to 5.
And as they make their way up there, Tiger's come up just short of the green, was trying to run it up the very steep bank in front. And we found him here on the 2nd day, where he made a fantastic 2-putt. And then again, it's well, you can see it perfectly there. It's a good, 15 feet up to the top of the green.
Yeah. And of course you can see he's putting it, but he's got to hit so hard to get it up the first bit. And if you don't get it quite right, and you aim it 4 or 5 feet one way or t'other. We saw Tom Lehman. It looks as if he'd made a total miscue. It ended up 20 feet to the right. I think from here, you see, you've got the bank which is right to left in front of him. Then he swings you left, and then it goes over the top and left to right again. So you could almost give this a good thump almost straight at it. And really, it's a bit of hope for the best. But if you totally misjudge it, there's trouble wading past the flag. But there's really not much else you can do. Might chip it with a 5-iron or something.
For such an easy hole, Tiger's played this hole in par, birdie, par. First 3 rounds. The hole's averaged 4.5, so it's the easiest hole on the course. And once again, he's finding a little trouble here.
Well, we were talking about he's got to be so exact, you see. It probably didn't need an awful lot more to be good. You've now come off that shoulder and down to the hole.
And he's 40 feet short. From there to the flag is 13 paces on, so a par would be a good score for Tiger here at the 5th. This green shares with the 13th hole. There's 7 double greens here at St Andrews and 4 single greens, and the double greens add up to 18. the 5th and the 13th, 4 and 14, 6 and 12, 7 and 11 there at the start and finish of the loop. So just a little reminder there for you that they do all add up to 18. We'll head over to the 7th.
And Tom Lehman to get to 11 under and alone in 4th. Well-judged putt for the 96 champ at Lytham, who feels his whole game has improved in the last 12 months. Let's go back to our last group at 5.
And David Duval will be first to putt here for Eagle.
Now, what a body blow it would be if you could knock this in. I mean, perhaps I'm flirting on the edge of fantasy, but that's all part of the game. Why I love it so much, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. All these people, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Golf is not a game like that. Today, I can't say I'm going to hit 3 home runs. You might miss everything and be out and gone home and be sitting there having a coffee before the game's over. And it's the same with this. You never know.
Great example.
Sorry, Judy.
Excuse me.
I'm waffling again.
No, that's fine. But a great example of taking what this golf course gives you. Tiger had a wedge into this par 5, and it was one of the hardest short shots ever.
Well, it is if you try to be too precise where the flag is today. If he'd aimed it into the middle of the green with his putting stroke and 2 putted, he's got another birdie. Then someone's got to get 2 birdies or an eagle to stay with him. See, I think that's a misjudgment. Small though it may be on his part, it could be very expensive.
We saw Ernie Els putt from a similar situation. Big right to left swing here and quite quick as it comes towards the hole.
Out she goes now, turns left. Pace is important.
Nice putt.
Putt there.
Just too much borrow. Both played 3, but the difference is that Duval is just a few feet away and Tiger's a long way off.
Well, as football season gets closer and Monday nights become TV events on ABC, once again, as they do every fall, we'll start the week before Monday Night Football's season opener with the Battle at Bighorn. Tiger Woods, Sergio Garcia, the Lincoln Financial Group Battle at Bighorn, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, Monday, August 28th, just 4 Mondays from this coming one on ABC Sports.
And a very long putt for a birdie 4 here for Tiger. He was having a lot of trouble with his putting at the tournament a couple of weeks ago in Chicago at the Western Open. He'd just taken a couple of weeks off after winning the US Open. And he and his coach Butch Harmon have been working very hard on this aspect of his game. He was pushing a lot of his putts. And I think all of that work that he put in on the putting green there in Chicago at the Western has really put him in good stead this week. As I said before, so many making birdie here. More than half the field, in fact, have birdied this hole. There's been 18 eagles, 2 of them today. So a 5's not a good score for Tiger. And he's had 3 5s and 1 4 on this hole all week. Remains at 17 under to 6.
58 for another day. Yeah. Thomas Bjorn 1 over through 5 is second. Oh, that is perfectly played. Look at this.
That was from 75 yards. He actually pitched it into the bank. Beautiful shot.
Back at 5.
Very makeable birdie chance here for Duval.
Oh, boy.
What a waste.
He seemed to be putting that almost right half of the hole. He's just come on a putt the other side with a swing of about 8 feet. So it's either a mishit or a misdirection or something, because it's fairly obvious he came from the other side of the hole slowly. It must topple in.
The hole's cut on a little ridge there, Peter. It's sort of right on the edge. It's the toughest hole location on the whole green. It was very similar to that yesterday, only a couple of paces further on. And we've seen a lot of putts from inside 6 feet missed.
Big chance missed there.
Well, David Duval remains 5 behind Tiger Woods. Woods leads here in the 129th Open Championship, presented by MasterCard here at St Andrews.
Long ago, information was measured only in kilobytes. Then came megabytes and gigabytes, then terabytes, petabytes, and exabytes. Today, with all this information flying back and forth on the web, we will soon arrive at yottabytes. How big is that? 10 to the 24th power, 1,000 billion trillion bytes. How many libraries of Congress per second can your software handle? It's a different kind of world. You need a different kind of software.
People ask me how they can learn to hit perfect shots. I tell them, it all starts when you feel your first one.
Ben Hogan Apex Plus irons, perimeter weighted for solid shots, and like Justin's Apex irons, forged for soft feel. Whatever your handicap, experience the sound and feel of hitting a perfect shot. Shot after shot.
When you feel your first perfect shot, you're on your way to being a better golfer.
Introducing Apex Plus irons from Ben Hogan, a feel for your game.
There can be only one priority. At Morgan Stanley Dean Witter, we have never forgotten ours. Not surprisingly, we measure success a little differently.
How much more simple can a case get? Why are we even bothering with a trial? Hey, look at me. Am I disturbing you?
Mr. Donald, do not address the juror.
Who should I be talking to? The wall? Maybe I should talk to the wall. This case is like pounding up against the wall.
It is the oldest and most prestigious golf championship in the world. It is the championship that golfers most want to win. It is the British Open. Its high, wispy rough and windswept fairways have been the setting for some of golf's most magical performances. As the Open enters a new millennium, the championship returns to golf's birthplace, where history will again be made, and perhaps a legend born. It is the British Open.
Right drive. Tiger Woods tee shot here at the short sixth. And he has been consistently through the crosswalk each day. That crosswalk does not allow you to get a free drop.
Yeah, that tower's a good line, yeah.
David going the more conservative route. Mike mentioned they were paired together in Dallas in the final round. This is the first time ever for a final round pairing with Duval and Woods. 2-8.
Pick it up at 9 instead with Ernie Els blowing away, turning away from the blowing divot, I should say, with his second at the ninth.
That was from 108 yards.
He's made 3 straight pars, 12 under, 5 back. Steve Flesh in this group dropped a shot at the 4th and 5th, and Steve is 6 under. But Ernie made the big noise here with birdies on 4 of the first 5 to get to 12 under. Sent a little bit of a message. Back 4 groups to where Woods and Duval were. Doesn't want to make the kind of history he could today, being a runner-up in 3 consecutive majors. Our checking couldn't find somebody who's had that happen in their career. It's an impressive thing to say, but it's not something you want to brag about.
Yes, rounds 2 and 3 were expensive for him here, Mike. After the opening 66 where he played beautifully, he didn't capitalize on that. Out early on the second day, virtually no wind.
There is his record, Peter, in the majors. Bruce Crampton in 72 had back-to-back runner-ups in majors. Crenshaw in 79, the British and PGA. Harry Cooper in 36. Norman, end of 86, beginning of 87. Bob Charles in 68. Jack Nicklaus in 71 after he won the PGA, runner-up at the Masters and U.S. Open. 64, he's a runner-up twice as well, but nobody 3 times in a row. At the 7th, this is David Toms for a birdie 3. Well, David Toms, who hung in there quite well in the last group with Tiger yesterday. Nice show. He's alone in 4th right now at 11 under par. Right after our broadcast from St. Andrews, we'll take you to the beautiful Irish Hills of Michigan, Brooklyn, Michigan, for the Michigan 500. Indy 500 champ Juan Montoya facing Kart's Best. That's coming up next here on ABC Sports. Back to 6, Mr. Melnick.
All right, Michael. It has been an interesting sort of day for Duval. Had a long putt at the first, just skirted the edge. A long putt at the 4th, skirted the edge. And the 3 putt for par at the last, which have bracketed the birdies at 2 and 3. You could sense on the practice tee that both players relished his pairing.
105.
Shot now, getting this downhill line, you know?
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah, if it was on the
just hit a good full one of those middle, the sand wedge, there's no reason it shouldn't hit right there and pop a little bit up, is there?
It should do that. It should come up, yeah.
91?
Hey, yeah, 91's our front number.
So hitting right there and popping up is talking about this very deep little dip at the beginning of this green. Hole located just about 8-10 feet past the crest of that dip. 106.
Don't hit on the downslope.
About as well as you can play it.